welcome back to the Nasty Metal production channel here at YouTube, and welcome to another album review. Yes, finally, oh finally, I am finally here to review the third and definitely newest album from, of course, Ambush, titled Infidel, which of course was released definitely very many months back. It was released on March 13th of this year. Now, this was definitely one of my most anticipated albums, and I just couldn't wait to get this. And I definitely don't want to go into any sort of, long-winded reasons to how long this took for me to get it. I mean, at this point, if you're ordering off Amazon, it's going to take a little longer, and because of the situation, it definitely wasn't going to be very easy. But here it is. It's finally here in my hands, and I got it, about a week ago, which was last Monday, and for many weeks was listening to this. Now, again, this is their third album, their follow-up to, of course, Desecrator from 2015. This has been that long that I've been waiting for a follow-up to that album, even though I since then I've been kind of lukewarm on that album again. I've already talked about many times how much Firestorm, which was their debut album, just hit me like a ton of bricks. It was just one of my favorite albums of 2014, one of my favorite new wave or traditional heavy metal albums for many years, and it was also, again, one of my favorite albums of the 2010s in general. And Desecrator definitely just, even though it was a good album, it didn't reach that, but still, when hearing that when they released that 7-inch last year titled Hellbiter, was definitely, and again, listening to those two tunes, which the B-side was Heavy Metal High, which is omitted from this album. It was not on here, even though it's a B-side for that single. It's not on the actual album. But either way, still, I was just as much more anticipated to really hear the whole entire album and see if we'll ever live to be up to, let's say, the first album, or if it was going to be anywhere better, or if maybe just as decent or good as Desecrator. Oh shit. This is where I really start to finally just get into the actual music of the album here. So where you're probably going to now finally see the transition made to the album cover here. The 1920 times by 1080 picture here. Oh boy, this is where I finally get into the album. Just when I really thought that Ambush couldn't get any better, or just couldn't really, exceed any of my expectations, they fucking deliver possibly a fantastic album. This is by far even better than Desecrator. And I'll get to some other opinions that will definitely be a little hard for me to actually definitely talk about, and it's on the best ways. Where do I really just start with Infidel? I mean, I can definitely go on right off the bat and say how the musicianship is just fucking matured, how well they are able to really just construct these classic sounding metal tunes, and definitely in many ways, this can almost be seen as nothing more than a great love letter to, of course, the 1980s era of heavy fucking metal. There is just nothing bad on here. Everything is so well constructed. It's so consistent. Literally, my ears are just literally glued to my headphones. Just from the beginning song, the opening track, Infidel, to, of course, the very last song, Lust for Blood. They just literally, they hit the ball right out of the ballpark with this album. What I thought I guess you could say I was definitely had a little bit low expectations, but my God, after the first listen, I'm like, I just couldn't, it's like, wait, what just happened? no, you can't be serious. You can't be serious. But every time I just, from again countless other lists, I mean, I listened to this album about 6 fucking times, about 2 times almost a day, and it just kept hitting me in the fucking stomach as hard as possible. And I don't mean that in a bad, I mean that in the best possible ways. It was literally it grabbed me by the fucking jugular and ripped it straight out. And I mean, it's again, each time it just got even better and better. It's like, what a album they put together with this one. Again, it kicks off with Infidel, and again, it begins in the way Speed and Attack began, Dust to Gold by Bullet, but quickly transitions into the rapid fire delivery and builds and pretty much turns out to be one of their best songs. I mean, right in between the middle of this song, before they really kick into the guitar solo, vocalist Oscar Jacobson actually performs this like cackling sound, that was very reminiscent of King Diamond in a way, and it's just awesome. And he's done that a few times, especially on albums like again Firestorm and Desert Fire. But here, it's like it's used in the best possible ways. It is a great way to just again transition into the fucking guitar solo, which again is just fantastic. I mean, you get plenty of that. I mean, I should have to say you get plenty of that twin guitar attack between, of course, guitar players Adam Hagelin and, of course, Olaf Engvist. I think Engvist is probably the best way to pronounce his last name. They literally just trade off guitar solos. To these guys, it's very similar to, of course, Glenn Tipton and KK Downing. The guitar players, for, of course, sadly, for guys of Merciful Fate, which are guys I usually definitely remember a lot. They are definitely a band I have big photo memory, are just starting to leave my name, but I can definitely compare it to the guys like Merciful Fate. It just has that feel going on with this one. It's definitely great stuff. Then, of course, songs like Leave Them to Die and A Silent Killer are both ferocious metal assaults that are elevated by badass middle breaks. I definitely should also point out there is some great, both A Silent Killer and Leave Them to Die. Again, Oscar Jacobson, he just, again, busts out great vocal performances on most of these 2 songs. Again, and the guitar work, they're just fucking badass. And of course, we then got other like The Demon Within and Iron Helm of War, which are 2 vicious power metal pummelers. Which, of course, I should also definitely mention that the track, The Summoning, is basically an intro for The Demon Within, but is a cool little track on its own right, because it just has this real slow, dark, heavy build and everything, almost as an epic way. We're going into that real fast, heavy, aggressive riff of A Demon Within that it just speeds on. It's very reminiscent of sort of like maybe in some ways maybe Gravedigger or Halloween, for example. Just great stuff. And Iron Helm of War definitely reminds me a little bit of Scanner, other great German metal band. I definitely can make a lot of comparisons with some of the best German metal bands with this album. Then, of course, we got the track Hellbiter, which was, of course, the lead single for this album and is a catchy, hooky metal rocker that has plenty of personality. And speaking of hooks, the song Wipe Right, which I think is probably the best way, I think, is how you pronounce that word, Wipe Right and Heart of Stone, are just infectious. That sees the band really show their craft and their work in mature ways. Which, again, Oscar Jacobson definitely performs a lot of killer vocal melodies that elevates these 2 songs. Which Heart of Stone in particular, almost kind of to where I feel Oscar Jacobson definitely really pulls off some of his best, almost Don Dokken-esque kind of vocal melodies, and which kind of gives Heart of Stone a little bit of an idea if Don Dokken had probably fronted Accept. And same thing goes for the song Wipe Right, and he has, again, plenty of great vocal performances on both these 2 songs. I mean, I can't really praise this guy enough for how great of a fucking vocalist he is. I don't want to really say he's probably the second coming of Rob Halford, but in some aspects, I almost can say he's probably the second coming. Maybe someone like Michael Becerra of bands like Obsession, and for a little while, Yngwie Malmsteen. He just has that kind of vocal performance and just how great of high registers he's able to push himself to. And I've already talked about how fucking great of a singer Oscar Jacobson is on like my album of the week review for Firestorm, which was posted on that same week. That this album was getting dropped, and he's just fantastic all over this album. I will even say this is probably some of his best vocal performances by far, even topping Desecrator and also Firestorm, which of course on Desecrator you really were able to really hear him stretch out his vocal cords a little bit more, but here it's just really expanded on. He's just able to really strut his stuff. He's a fantastic singer. That's all I can say. He's a fantastic singer. Then, of course, should definitely go into the very last song, which, of course, is Lust for Blood. And again, it ends the album and is also a worthy hooky tune with the galloping pace that oozes with a anthemic appeal that is so infectious. Oscar Jacobson, again, also delivers a great vocal performance. And I mean, I've talked about enough of how great of a vocal performance he just gives on this album. It's fantastic. So there, you got these 10 fantastic songs, or technically 9 songs. Technically, they're just full straight up songs. It's just phenomenal material. Again, every bit of the bands just sound like they definitely are really building and building with each album. I definitely feel like after this one that I can feel if they continue on with more albums, these guys could very well, and the level again of musicianship and maturity and progression that they really showed on this album, and they're definitely can be seen as a metal force to be to be reckoned with. Maybe they'll be a fucking top contender for some of the best metal bands of this decade. This might be their decade for sure. So here, finally, I should definitely go on and give my fucking rating. It's a solid 10 out of 10. And right now, since I was already alluding it a bit in the beginning about some of the words I'm going to be showing here, I'm probably going to be using, and the words I'm going to say is definitely going to be a little bit tough for me because I fucking hold Firestorm in such high regards. I mean, I just hold it this high because it was just one of my favorite albums of 2014. I will even consider it one of the best debut albums. And Desecrator, I just really thought didn't really quite live up to nearly as decent or as good as Firestorm. But then I listened to this album, and the more times I listened to it, I just couldn't really I just couldn't really believe or really for one second that this album, my eyes just couldn't completely just register in many ways. I just couldn't believe it, but I fucking believe it. This could very well, it's probably better than Firestorm. This might very well be right now their best album for sure, and that's a little bit tough for me to say. I know this is always kind of stretching the video a little bit long, but I just have to say it. I feel this album could very well be their best album right now. I mean, Firestorm was a great debut. It definitely captured one of those best raw 80s metal debut albums of the mid to late 80s. But this album is just really up there as probably some of the best sophomore efforts for any band. This just has plenty of those classic traits of stuff, but but executed in every of the best ways. It's a fucking great album. Production, again, I always complain. My biggest gripe with Desecrator was that I feel that the production and the mixing was a little too clean. I mean, it was a great sort of, again, move a little bit. It was definitely showing that the band was definitely starting to kind of sharpen a little bit, but I think in some ways I don't think they quite perfected it on Desecrator as they have on as they just did on this album. Here it's got that clean feel, but it brings back that raw fucking grit that Firestorm but it's done away without ever copying that album. And this album is by far some of their best work today right now. So right now, I can almost see it could be a little bit tough now for probably them to really kind of make an album that could very well top the sound, because this is going to be a little bit difficult, I feel, for probably Ambush to top. But if they do, bring it on. I am definitely up for, again, more fucking Ambush. This is a great album. So with that, I know this album was dropped on March 13th. I know some of you have definitely already got your copies in. I know all of you have already listened to it. Definitely let me know what you thought in the comment section below. And if you haven't yet checked out this album, I definitely recommend checking this album out. This is fantastic. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. And this Heavy Thrasher Sam out. And I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.